In If This Weren't the Case, I'd Be Stunned Beyond Belief news. Since Trump's re-election, Democrats are less optimistic about the future of the party than any time in the last 8 years, according to a new Pew Research poll. But some of the stats I'm about to share with you in a moment will blow your mind. It also confirms what we saw before the election as well, that Americans have confidence in Trump's plans for the economy, while they think negatively about many parts of his incredibly weird and horrible personality. Roughly half, 51% of Democrats and independents who lean toward the party say they're optimistic, while 49% say they're pessimistic about its future. Democratic pessimism is up compared with both 2016, when 38% said they were feeling that way in the wake of Trump's first presidential victory, and in 2020, when 17% of Democratic-aligned adults described themselves as pessimistic after Biden's win in 2020. They also did not feel pessimistic after the 2018 and 2020 midterms. By contrast, 86% of Republican-aligned adults now call themselves optimistic about the GOP's future, up from 65% who said the same 2 years ago. Roughly 8 in 10 said they were optimistic following Trump's 2016 election, and 8 in 10 following his 2018 midterms, with 74% calling themselves optimistic after Biden's 2020 victory. I think speaking to the great optimism / twisting of reality / delusion of today's Republican Party, even in the face of great loss. They feel amazing about how their party's going. That kind of confidence really pushes things through. By contrast, again, Democratic pessimism this year is particularly pronounced among younger members of the party, with 55% of Democratic-aligned adults younger than 50 taking a negative view of the party's future, compared with 39% among their older counterparts. Overall, half of US adults say that the Republican Party represents their interests at least somewhat well, modestly higher than the 43% who currently say the same of the Democratic Party. While the Democratic Party standing on this metric is largely unchanged from July 2023, the GOP number is up 11 percentage points over that time. That shift, Pew finds, is due almost wholly to Republican-aligned adults' increasingly positive assessments of their party. Just over half approve of his plans for the future, think he will make good economic decisions, that one's 59%, will effectively handle law enforcement and criminal justice, and make good decisions on immigration and foreign policy. All of those at 53 or 54%. But these next poll results are especially mind-blowing to me. Fewer express confidence in Trump to make good decisions on abortion policy. It's mind-blowing because of how high these numbers still are. 45% express confidence still in his ability to make good decisions on abortion policy, or to bring the country closer together. 41% think he will. Less than half of the public thinks Trump is well described as someone who cares about the needs of ordinary people, but still 45% do. Or somehow somebody who's honest, 42% think he's honest. Even-tempered, 37% think this man is even-tempered, and 34% think he is a good role model. It is mind-boggling, even in the categories that you could prove it with tens of thousands of data points. They still think, yeah, great guy, cares about us, honest man, great role model. Mind-boggling. Overall, half of Americans express positive feelings about Trump's election victory, with 22% saying they're excited, 28% saying they're relieved, while the rest say they're disappointed, 33%, or angry, 15%. In a separate question, about 1/3 expressed surprise about his win, meaning 2/3 of the country had a feeling this was going Trump's way. Those numbers are just the most mind-boggling to me, the people that still think positively in great numbers about this man.
So I have interpretations that are maybe a little bit different than the average bear, and I'm curious what your guys' takes are gonna be. So first of all, I'm ecstatic that more people are pessimistic about the Democratic Party. Why? I'm a Democrat, and why would I be happy about that? It's because I think the Democratic Party has been going in the wrong direction for a long time. So if most of the Democratic voters, or now at least half the Democratic voters, have become pessimistic about its direction, good, because then maybe you could change the direction so we can actually win elections rather than getting our asses handed to us by frickin' Trump, right? So I would want that number to be as high as possible so we go in a new direction. Now, secondarily, this might be even more surprising to you guys. I don't know. We'll find out. I think that 74% saying that they were optimistic about the Republican Party even after Trump lost in 2020. I mean, that's, Ben, you're right to be shocked by that number. That is a gigantic number. My theory on that is because they already did a revolt inside the Republican Party, and they kicked out the corporate Republican guys like Mitch McConnell, et cetera. So their voters, even when they lose, they feel optimistic because they feel like they're running the party. Now you could say, hey, Cenk, well, that's not really true because Trump is still giving most of the the goodies to his donors like Elon Musk and Miriam Adelson and corporate tax cuts, et cetera. But they feel like they're in charge. That's why they're optimistic even in really bad times for them, let alone now it's at 86%, which brings me to the last thing here. I want you guys to note that only 34% think that Donald Trump is a good role model. That's a very low number overall. I mean, Ben's right, it's still high given who Trump is, but that's a very bad number overall. But still, 86% of Americans say optimistic, going in the right direction, even though a lot of them think he's a bad role model, right? And so it's in other numbers here, and it matches everything that I've seen from the right wing, with a lot of people saying, look, guys, it's not like we don't get it. Now, a lot of them don't believe that at all. They think he's honest, et cetera. But there is a significant portion of Republicans who think, yeah, guys, we get it. He's a jerk. He's a bully. He says things he shouldn't say. But we like the direction that he's going rather than the direction you're going. So that should cause some self-reflection on our part instead of just saying, oh, it's wild, it's wacky, it's crazy. Oh, forget MAGA, they're nuts. No, they're not nuts. It's telling. And it should be a note to us to learn from.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people I talk to, Trump supporters I talk to out there, a lot of them say, well, I don't like his way, I don't like the way he speaks, the words he uses, whatever. But I like him, and I think he's a better president. I would never vote for the Democrat, which is, it's fine. I think it's a thing to say that's convenient. I'm a little more dismissive of a poll like this. Pew is a great, the Pew Research has been so helpful to this country. I think taking a poll within weeks after an election, you have people justifying what they've just done. You have people, hurt, upset. You have people excited and victorious. I just think it's bad timing. I'm not a pollster. They know it better than I, but I would love to read their work a year from now rather than right after an election where people are trying to justify what they just did. I am shocked too, 34% see him as a good role model, but we were just listening to Whoopi Goldberg saying that she likes a president who can't put two sentences together. That doesn't matter to her. The idea the president, the idea of the president being a role model may be all of a sudden old-fashioned now. And I don't know that that's true, and I don't know that that's good, and I don't know that will endure. But I think that's part of what's at play here with that 34% number, which I think is wildly high for Donald Trump, but wildly low for a US president.
Yeah, facts. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that even, because pretty much 34% has always been around what Trump's core support is. And those people, generally speaking, think he's just the best, think he's perfect, and don't process any of the problems. I mean, it really speaks so deeply to like the QAnon phenomenon of people that just deeply believe that it's all a conspiracy, it's all media making these things up, it's all lawfare, and it's all media warfare against this guy, and they are the enemy of the people, and they're making up facts because and a preponderance of overwhelming facts never process. I mean, in any number of categories, sexual assault allegations, civil court sexual assault convictions, court convictions for illegal use of funds, for trying to undermine the vote of the people, creating an insurrection, any number of enormous things, multiple marriages, multiple affairs, not one of them even affects their opinion of should our children look up to his personality and the way he's lived his life as an example.
In this very religious country we live in too, and the most religious among us are the ones who supported him the most, fervently.
It's a wild cognitive dissonance. I don't understand it.
So those are all absolutely correct, but let's also note one other thing, which is in most of the polls, and I talked a lot about this over the last 4 years, there was about is a shocking percentage of the country that believes QAnon. It was about 15% at its height. Now, I mean, they basically stopped polling it, and Q stopped sending notes, and it kind of went away. But it was about 28% of Republicans, and so the magic number is 28. Trump never, ever gets below 28, and so here he's at 34 for a role model. So in that ballpark, right? So somewhere between 30% to a third of the country, right? They're immovable, but there's also an immovable third of the country on the Democratic side. So, but remember, 34 is not 51. He won the popular vote. So that other 17% is enormously important. That's who we have to win over. So if you say some of them are QAnon nutsos and they think that Democrats wear children's faces as masks or whatever the crazy things that they believe in, or milder, but still they think Trump can do no wrong and they wish that their kids would grow up to be a bully like him. Okay, I can't believe it, but okay, fine. But that's not all of them. If it was all of them, it would be hopeless because it's harder to break through to folks like that. And Michael's interviewed a lot of them at the MAGA rallies. It's not like they don't exist. And if you're on the right wing and you're not one of those people, you can say, well, they don't exist. No, they do exist, brother. They do exist, right? But I'm also acknowledging that other 17% of the country exists that voted for Trump but is not in that category. And that's who Democrats have to win over if they want to win elections.
For sure, it's just this amount. The amount is just so mind-boggling, and with the rapid exponential growth of social media and these algorithmic effects on our lives that are putting us further and further into silos and into echo chambers where you never hear the other side, we're just increasingly becoming more and more susceptible to that percentage growing, the QAnon psycho percentage that just absorb any fact. Michael, you've interviewed so many of them, the good liars do it all the time. People that just have, even within the same sentence, insane, hard to explain cognitive dissonances where somebody says, I in fact think Trump is still president right now. And then you say, but then why are you against what he's doing if it's your guy? And they can't process that fact.
There is the celebrity effect too that we can't deny, that's not going to come along every time. It might again. I saw somebody doing kind of what I do in the street in Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's district this week. I don't know who it was. It was really fascinating stuff. They were going to people, asking them who they voted for president, and then who they voted for Congress. All of them. About a dozen voted for Donald Trump. Every one of those Trump voters voted for Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. So there is this, also the fact that he's a celebrity, which is a big part of his draw, and there's no question about it. And that will be hard to sustain once they get back to, if they get back to.
Yes, but there's just still this softening of the brain. I infiltrated.
There's no question, yeah.
The QAnon RFK, the JFK Jr. group in Texas. I went there with hidden cameras. And I was just making up facts, and they were like, really? I got to tell the leader. I mean, just I wrote on a piece of paper, I was like, look, JFK Jr. left this note in my hotel room saying, I'll be back, hugs and kisses JFK Jr. And they're like, this looks legit. I mean, just stuff I'm pulling out of the back of my pants.
Yeah, but there is also an anti-establishment fervor that has led them towards Trump too. So it's a combination of factors.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.